it's a Supra. Immediately turn one, you can tell. And this change of direction right here into turn two, you know it's a Supra. Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and I'm here in surprisingly rainy Sonoma, California because I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to know about the 2026 GR Supra. This is the Mark V Final Edition and there's a lot you need to know, so let's dive in. So right off the top, let's talk about what's new for 2026. And like I mentioned, the 26 marks the final year of the Mark V, and therefore we have in front of us our final edition. And what is the final edition, you might be asking? Well, we have a unique paint scheme, and we'll get to that in a second, but we do have some revisions to the dynamics and the characteristics of the car. There's some chassis and suspension tweaks, like stiffer bushings and subframe mounts. You've got some more bracing underneath, and you've got a revised differential and control mapping. You've also got bigger brembo brakes and more aggressive camber. And like I mentioned, we are going to talk about those styling tweaks. What we have here is our GT4 style pack. It's an additional $2,160 and it's based on the GT4 EVO2 race car, the race Supra. And it comes in Burnout or Undercover, both matte paints, one white, one black. What we have in front of us is Burnout. We've got GR decals for our side skirt. We've got a carbon ducktail, a matte rear emblem, and possibly most importantly of all, these red mirror caps kill that wind buffeting problem that's plagued the Supra ever since it first came out. So this, definitely worth the upgrade. But what's under the hood remains pretty familiar. It's still all BMW underneath, which isn't a bad thing, I would argue. What we have is the B58 3-liter turbocharged inline 6, making 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque, but it feels quicker than that. 0 to 60 is done in under 4 seconds in the auto. It's a little bit slower with your manual, but still, great engine in a great sports car. And I just touched on it, so let's talk about drivetrain. Like I mentioned, there is 2 transmission options. You have the 8-speed auto that we've come to be familiar with over the last few years, but you still have a 6-speed manual here. You still have 3 pedals as an option, and you can get rev matching, so you can save your clutch a little bit if you're not super comfortable doing heel and toe. We've also got adaptive suspension, and we have a clever rear differential out back, which we'll talk more about on track later on in the video. But like I mentioned, there's been some dynamic changes for the Supra for this year now. The auto is just a little bit over 3,400 pounds in terms of curb weight. The stick is just under 3,400 pounds, but we do have revisions to the tuning, the braking, the differential's been retuned, and some of the suspension has been retuned. It's still a Strut front multi-link rear car, and it still has Pilot Super Sport tires, so I am curious to see how these new suspension and differential tweaks affect the car's performance on track tomorrow. And since we already touched on the GT4 style pack earlier, we're not going to spend too much time on the look, but it's still a Supra. We've still got aggressive running lights up front, incredibly long hoods, some accentuated and embellished venting going on. We've got a front splitter, we've got kind of satin finish 19-inch performance wheels, forged peeking out from underneath. We've got red GR brakes. Again, those are bigger for this year. Embellished side skirt, red wing mirror caps, part of the GT4 pack, nice flared rear hip, and we've got that double bubble kind of Viper-esque roof for your racing helmets. We do have a matte carbon fiber wing out back and our dual exhaust poking out beneath. I know we've seen this car for a number of years, but I still think it looks fantastic, and I absolutely love this spec with the GT4 pack in Burnout. This matte white with the black and red accents really gets me. And one of my less favorite things about the Supra is if you want to get into the trunk, you have to go into the cabin. There's no external release for your tailgate back here, but when you do get it open, it's kind of hatchish, which is pretty nice. It's hourglass shaped, so it's not the most practical, but it's a sports car. It's got 10.25-ish cubic feet of space. Got a little bit of space over here, a little bit of space over there, and if you want to stick some longer stuff, you could run it up. I do like that the speaker grills kind of look like wheels from like Need for Speed, but overall, it's relatively practical. But if you want a bigger trunk, ironically, you go over to the GR86 because those have rear seats that can fold down. And then we'll go up the cabin to talk about seats. Now, there are no rear seats in any Supra. What you have is front seats. They're nicely bolstered. It's kind of like a nice Alcantara two-tone with the synthetic leather, GR contrasted stitching, nice red interior perforations. Really, really nice for this final edition here. We've got GR embroidered into the headrest itself. Red seat belts, really, really comfortable seats here. Two-level memory here. 3-level heated, no cooled, but you can get a heated steering wheel. But this certainly fits with the Burnout matte white paint. and I think it looks really good. And it's also pretty comfortable behind the wheel. Touching on the overarching cabin experience, it feels pretty high quality in here. It does feel fairly BMW, but that's certainly not a bad thing in a Toyota. A lot of the switchgear, a lot of the ergonomics does feel pretty familiar and kind of upscale premium German, which I'm certainly not mad at. Now, some of the updates that they've brought this year, a little bit more red accenting for your shifter. We've got a little bit more kind of embellished seat with our embroidered GR. We talked about this with the red accenting down the seat and the Alcantara with the synthetic leather, and that's pretty nice. Our cup holders are in a nice ergonomic spot that makes sense. We've got carbon fiber for our center console, wireless charger, and a nice kind of technology stack that we'll talk about in a minute. But overall, we've got nice JBL speakers. The impression of quality is pretty good. The fit and finish is good. The build quality is there. And it's pretty good. These final editions are also limited production up to 1,300 units. And you get a little badge on the inside of your dash that reflects that. And when it comes to tech, it's a little bit older, but that might not be a bad thing. We've got our pretty physical rotary iDrive style wheel, but we still have a touch screen here. It is running older software and graphics and skins, but honestly, everything's pretty physical. Your climate controls, your heated seats, and everything down here, pretty physical. Custom menu options are touch sensitive, pretty physical. I like that they haven't lumped everything into the screen like we see in so many other modern cars, and otherwise, you still have everything that you would need. I've got a nice color head-up display. I've got a fully digital instrument cluster. It doesn't customize or change a whole lot, but it looks good. The black levels are nice. And then over here, you can get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all the stuff that you would reasonably need. You throw it into reverse, and you do have a reverse camera and 360 sensors. No 360 camera. I wouldn't really expect that in something like this, but maybe in the Mark 6, we might get something like that. But overall, the technology here for a sports car is fitting of the personality of the car, and I don't really have any complaints. Also worth mentioning, you still have sport displays that show you active telemetry of your horsepower and torque. Pretty cool. And the last thing that we'll talk about before we get on track is the price. Now for 2026, the Supra starts at $57,500. The premium trim goes up to $60,650. And if you want the final edition, you're gonna be looking at $68,550. If it were me and my money and I was a Supra enthusiast, I would certainly consider the final edition with the GT4 style pack, especially in this Burnout paint that we have here, because it looks spectacular. But with that, let's hit the track. Hey guys, real quick, Matt here. Just wanted to say I hope you've been enjoying the video. If you have, would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does go a long way in helping us get access to cars sooner and get access to manufacturer engineers so we can get more information on the cars and get you more information so you can make better decisions. So would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe, like, comment, the whole YouTube thing. But with that, let's get back to the video. All right, Supra Final Edition on Sonoma. It's a Supra. Immediately turn one, you can tell. And this change of direction right here into turn two, you know it's a Supra. You know it's kind of BMW too. But it is clinical pace coming out of a corner. Good directness from the steering. Now we talked a lot about, for this 2026 final edition, some of the changes that they've made to the suspension and the rigidity and some of the bushings and all that stuff. And I'm here to tell you, you can feel it. You can feel it. I'm gonna focus a little bit more, so I'm not gonna talk a lot, but just remember some of the stuff that we talked about. The diff has been reworked. Some of the suspension's been tweaked. The camber has been tweaked on the wheels. And you can feel it coming into a corner. That corner entry feels a lot more willing to dive in. As we track out. Just big power, B58 power coming out of there. Into a hairpin, double apex, track out. It's kind of telepathic. It goes where I want it to go. Pilot Super Sports, through the S's. Good car, good balance, good hold, good rigid chassis. It's damped exactly how I want it to be. You can get a lot out of this car. As we top 100. Good tweaks. A lot of changes went into 2026, and we drove the 25 and I think even a 23 earlier today, if I'm remembering correctly. And I'll tell you what, you can feel the changes. If you're a Supra enthusiast, if you're a collector, if you're like into that world, the final edition with the GT4 style pack, that's the one you want. That's the one you want. Great driving car, it's the best driving Mark V, and it looks the coolest, especially in that Burnout color. So thanks to Toyota for letting me have a go.